Hi everyone, welcome back to our Mist AI-driven SD-WAN configuration guide series of videos. My name is Shai Donovich and I'm a solution architect here at Juniper on the Mist AI-driven enterprise team. And this is going to be our section 3 of part 2, LAN networks and applications. If you haven't watched the previous sections in part 2 or part 1, I highly encourage you to go back and watch the other parts and sections, as each one is actually building on top of each other. So in this section, we'll be looking at creating networks and applications, and how do we associate networks, LAN segments with the hub and spokes, and then how do we create applications and custom applications in order to set our steering profiles and security policies between spoke and hub. And with that, let's get started. So just a quick recap on where we left on previous sections. We have created two sites, one for our spoke site 1 and the other one for hub A, which is our hub site. And we also created configuration templates, one edge template for spokes, and then hub profiles that is associated to hub A. We then onboarded two devices. In my lab, I'm using VSRXs. So we have onboarded a hub VSRX and a spoke VSRX and assigned them to specific sites. And then we also applied the configuration templates and associated them with both the spoke and the hub. The configuration templates were pretty simple. Just configuring the WAN interfaces on the spoke and on the hub. And after the config has been applied, we could see that we have two IPsec tunnels, which are related as our VPN overlay network or overlay tunnels established between the spoke and the hub. And next, we would want to go ahead and create the LAN segments. So in order to add two LAN segments or two hosts, one on the spoke side and one on the hub side, this is our first use case, LAN 0, where we have distinct IPs on each site and also on the hub. We would need to first create networks and applications. And really, networks and applications, this is how the Mist intent model is actually working. Everything is driven by the networks as a source and applications as destinations. And then different policies and steering profiles that can be applied for both directions under Mist UI. So as an example, if we would want to have site 1 LAN 0, 10.0.1.0 network communicate with hub A LAN 0, which is 10.0.100.0/24. We would need to create a network that is called sites LAN 0 or spokes LAN 0. And then we would need to create an application that is a custom app at this point, because the application can be also referred to our layer 7 application, like Zoom, Office 365, etc. But in this case, the application can also be defined as a prefix or as a LAN segment. Also, when hub A would want to send traffic to site 1 LAN 0, we would need to create a network for hub A, attach this network to the hub on G003, and then also create an application which will be referred to as spokes LAN 0 or site 1 LAN 0 that will be able to allow traffic from a hub to spoke. So in this case, again, as I mentioned, what we want to do is on the spoke, we're going to create a network called site 1 LAN 0, and it would be then used in order to allow traffic flowing to hub A LAN 0. And then on the spoke template, we would also need to accept traffic that is coming from a network called hub A LAN 0. As going to an application, which is site 1 LAN 0, right? So in other words, the config that is going to be applied to this device using the configuration templates would need to have policies created to send traffic and accept traffic from network to applications and from network. Very similarly, if we look on the hub, the same network that is used on the spoke to accept traffic to the same application would need to be configured on the hub in order to accept traffic from this network site 1 LAN 0 that is going to an application called hub A LAN 0. And similarly, we would need to allow traffic from LAN 0 on the hub going to the same application site 1 LAN 0 on the spoke. If you really take a closer look, these are the same directions and using the same networks and applications. So please just remember this. I'll show you in the next video on how we create policies and how we can actually create one time the policy, and then it will be associated with both the spoke and the hub. Okay, so the first thing we would need to do is we need to create then a network, LAN 0. And as mentioned, LAN 0, it's actually two separate networks. First, we have a network that instead of calling it site 1 LAN 0, I'll call it spokes LAN 0. And you will see why, because again, we would have one single template that we named it spokes. And this template would actually be assigned to multiple sites. We will discuss this in a future video. But in general, the network that I'll be adding, I'll call it spokes LAN 0. And then this is a pretty simple for now configuration of this network. It only specifying the subnet of this network, meaning the prefix and the prefix length. And also we will allow advertise via overlay. In other words, this network, when it will be applied and configured on a spoke, it will be advertised towards the hub, so the hub side would know how to reach this network. Very similarly, we would create an additional network. The second network would be called hub-A LAN 0. And this network, again, would only have a prefix. In this case, it's going to be 10.0.100 because our hub is always associated with 100 as a third or second octet. And again, we will select the option to advertise this network to overlay. Okay, so let's go ahead and configure our two networks as we have defined. Here we see the inventory again. We have our hub A and site 1. And if we navigate under organizations, we could see we have an option here to create networks. So clicking on networks will take us to the page where we will see the list of networks. We have not yet created any networks, so this is why it doesn't show any networks. And so create a network, we can click on add networks. And the first thing you would need to do is to give it a name. So first network I'll create is my hub A LAN 0. And as we mentioned, we want to create a /24 10.0.100 segment or prefix, and we would select advertise via overlay. Access to Mist Cloud, this is also an option if you have any other devices connected to this network on the LAN side, such as Mist APs or EX switching devices. You would want to have this option selected, so the correct policy will be pushed into our secure SD-WAN device in order to allow traffic towards the Mist Cloud, so we can onboard other devices. So this is where access to Mist Cloud is used for. And for now, let's click on add. And as we can see, the first network was added, hub A LAN 0, which is going to be our LAN 0 on the hub. Okay, so similarly, we can create a spoke LAN 0 network, clicking on add networks. We call it spokes LAN 0, and the prefix would be 10.0.10/24. Again, for now, that prefix would only be able to be applied on site 1. And in the future videos, once we'll discuss variables and how you configure variables and how you use variables, we'll change this to a variable that will associate with then multiple sites using one single template. But for now, we also click on advertise via overlay. And at this point, we would not want to override whatever is being advertised, because we want the spoke to advertise 10.0.10/24 to all other spokes and hubs. So, you know, if there's traffic from hub, obviously need to go to the spoke. It would need to know, it would have a route towards this network going through the overlay to the spoke. So advertise via overlay is being used. Click on save. And we can see our two networks have been created here. As we discussed, we also need applications to be configured or defined in order for traffic to flow from hub to spoke and spoke to hub. So then the first application we'll create, we'll name it spokes_LAN0. And this application would only just be a custom app, not a layer 7 app. And the custom application for now, we will define it as a simple prefix, 10.0.10/24, which is essentially the prefix, the LAN0 on the spoke. And again, in a very similar manner, we'll define hub A LAN0 application. So when traffic is going to be sent from spoke to hub, we'll use this application as our destination, and you know, the IP prefix is very similar to the network. It's just 10.0.100/24, and we'll see how we apply these networks and applications in the next video. Okay, so next we're going to configure our spoke 1H template and hub profile to add the LAN networks we just created. So for the network, for the LAN0 network on the spoke, we're going to use a DHCP server, and you know, basically, as I have in my topology here, the IP of the interface of the spoke towards the LAN is going to be GA002. And the IP is going to be 10.0.1.254, and then we're going to have a DHCP server that the start IP can be then .1, and let's say we configure 10 IPs for this DHCP server, and the minimum we would need to specify is the gateway on the IP on the DHCP, and also a DNS server. Very similar to the spoke on the hub profile, we're gonna attach the hub-a LAN0 network interface G003, and the IP address is going to be 10.0.100.254, and again, I'll attach a DHCP server here as well. So the host that we will connect to this interface, hub A LAN0 host and site 1 LAN0 host, they'll be able to get an IP from a DHCP server deployed in the VSRX. Okay, so now let's go ahead and attach these two networks as discussed to our hub and to spoke in site 1. So if I navigate back to my hub profiles, here's my hub profile that we have created in the previous segment. Click on hub profile, and we can see here that we have our two WAN interfaces, WAN 0 and WAN 1. And under LAN, we don't have any LAN interface attached yet. So in order to attach a LAN interface, you can click on Add LAN. And the first thing we would need to do is to select our network. So here we have our two networks that we previously created. I will select hub A, LAN 0, and our interface is going to be G003. And we have different options here for port aggregation, lag, and redundancy, but that's going to be covered in a different video. And we will select this interface to be an untagged VLAN or untagged interface. It can also be a trunk if it's going to, let's say, a switch or an EX switch that is connected on the LAN side. But for now, this is a simple example where we have a single host here, LAN 0. So we will select untagged. And the IP interface, the IP address of that specific interface, just for simplicity help reason, it would actually shows you what is the subnet of the network that you have selected, but the interface is going to be 254, prefix is 24. And we also decided that we will deploy a server, a DHCP server, onto this interface. So start IP would be .1, and let's say we're going to assign 10 IPs, and the gateway here, for this host is going to be the LAN interface here of the hub. So it's 254, and we'll provide just a simple one DNS server, or you can provide multiple DNS servers as well. And once you're happy with this, you click on Add. And then we can see the first LAN segment on interface G003 has been created. And for now, we can just click Save on this hub profile. And once we click on Save, this configuration by Mist instantly will be pushed to the device. And if we can go to the device, we can see that this G003 interface was created. So here's our Hub A device. If we list our configuration interfaces, we can see our G00 interface, G001, and here's G003 interface having 10.0100 254 as the interface IP. Okay, so next we're going to navigate to our spoke one edge template, and we will configure and attach the LAN 0 on the spokes as well. So clicking on spokes template, which is again attached to one site, or site one and one device. And similarly to the hub, at this point we just have 1.0 and 1.1 and the overlay IPsec tunnels as we have previously configured. And under LAN, here's where we can click on Add LAN to add the LAN segment. And so the first thing we would need to do is to select our network. Here's this spokes LAN 0 network. And the interface on the spoke is G002, as I see it listed here. G002, and again we covered the port aggregation and other options in different videos. And here, similarly to the hub, it's going to be untagged, and the IP address is showing up here as the network subnet, and the IP is 254 because that's the interface IP, and /24 segment. And also we'll add a DHCP server here as well. So that's going to be starting .1, 10 addresses, and the gateway is 254. And I will configure DNS server here as well. And once I'm done with that, I can click on Add. And here we can see the first LAN segment was created as well on the spoke. And we can click on Save. And once this configuration has been saved on this template, since the template is already applied to the site, the config will be pushed to the device as well. And so if we quickly switch to the device, we can see here's site 1, which is our spoke device. And we list our interfaces. We could see G000, and then here's G002, which is our LAN 0 interface. 10.01 254 has been already configured on the device. Okay, so as we have discussed, after creating the networks and attach those LAN 0 networks to both spoke and hub, we would need to go ahead and create also our applications. So the first application would be spokes LAN 0 for the spoke. We can name it spokes LAN 0. And again, this is a custom app, not a layer 7. So it's just referencing for now a simple prefix, the 10.0.1.0/24, which is the spokes prefix. And then we're going to create another application. It's going to be hub A LAN 0, and again we'll name it the same as the network, and also include only the prefix /24 for the hub. So let's switch to the Mist UI, and we'll see how we create and add applications. So other organization, we have networks, and then also we have applications. If we click on applications, we can see we have no applications defined yet. So we can go ahead and click on add applications, and we have put our application name. So spokes LAN 0, you can add a description, and since it's a custom app, I will add the spoke prefix, and you can also define some specific ports and protocols, but for now, to keep it simple, we'll only use the prefix name, but the prefix address. Similarly, we can define the hub A LAN 0, so hub A LAN 0, and the prefix is going to be .100/.0/24, and we will click on add. So now, after we have defined our networks and applications and attached the networks to each one of the devices, to the spoke VSRX and the hub VSRX, we'll be able to go ahead and define our steering profile to steer traffic from the spoke going to the hub through the two overlay tunnels as an ECMP as an example, and the other way around from hub to spoke, and configure our security policies to accept traffic from this specific spoke to LAN, spoke to hub. And we'll show you how to do this in the next segments. So with that, see you in the next segment, and thanks for watching.